Did you know that it has been 5 decades since Lynette High School and Auburn University alum David Hill and his Kansas City Chiefs played in Super Bowl IV? That's right, 5 days. I'm Randy Palmer, and welcome to this episode of Not So Crazy Talk. Today we want to take a not so crazy look at 6 things that I believe have helped the Kansas City Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl after 5 decades. A lot of people have been asking the question, what took them so long? Instead, we want to say, wow, how did they finally get back to the Super Bowl? So what's the first thing they did? For 50 years, they have not rested on their laurels. They have continued to pursue getting back to the Super Bowl. They could have sat back and said, you know what, we won a ring. We were Super Bowl champions, thank you. No, they enjoyed it. They tasted victory, and they wanted to taste it again. So they haven't been resting on their laurels. There's a spiritual application for us as believers. In 1 Peter, he is telling the believers there, man, once you have tasted and seen how good the Lord is, why would you want to go back to the way you were? Why would you not instead be craving spiritual food that is going to help you grow as a believer? Item number 2 that the Kansas City Chiefs have done to help them get back to the Super Bowl, for the last 18,250 days, they have continued to make necessary changes in their organization and in their personnel and in their schemes to enable them to make progress. As believers, how does this apply to us? When we become a Christian, we become redeemed through Jesus Christ, God's Son. The Holy Spirit begins to work in us, to change us, to transform us, to help get rid of all those old things and bring us into something new. And so that daily we begin to make the necessary changes that will help us to be what God would have us to be in order to bring glory to Him and to be a vessel that He can use to minister to others. That is principle number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs followed to help them get back to the Super Bowl, is they kept an eye on their opposition. They knew as soon as they won the Super Bowl, even before they won the Super Bowl, the teams who didn't make it to the Super Bowl were already thinking, all right, Kansas City, they're either going to win or Minnesota's going to win. What do we have to do to beat them? What schemes and schematics and things can we come up with to defeat them and help us to have victory? The same thing goes on in our Christian walk. The Bible exhorts us to be sober, to be diligent, for our adversary, our opponent, the devil, he's like a roaring lion. He's seeking whom he may devour. So what are we as Christians to do? We are to put on the whole armor of God, to stand, and we are to remember that greater is He that is in us than He's in the world. That's strong. Principle number 4. For the last 2,600 weeks, the Kansas City Chiefs have continued to make the main thing the main thing. That is, we want to get back to the Super Bowl. We want to win the Super Bowl. That is our focus. They kept it on that. Weren't distracted by things over here, by things over there. We as Christians, keep the main thing the main thing. Keep our eyes focused on Jesus Christ. Main thing, love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And your neighbors yourself. For the last 50 years of preseasons and seasons that involved some that were winning and some playoffs and some that were losing seasons, the Kansas City Chiefs have followed principle number 5, and that is they were committed. They continue to show up, continue to suit up, and continue to play. All through that, they were committed to doing what it took to get them back to the Super Bowl. During that time, there have been leagues that have formed, the World Football League, the USFL, and have ended play. There have been franchises that have picked up roots and moved. Some, I think, have moved twice, 3 times maybe even. Be committed. as believers. The word encourages us, the writer of Hebrews encourages us to run the race with perseverance, because we have such a great cloud of witnesses that we are to throw off anything that would hinder us and that sin that so easily entangles us, and run with endurance the race set before us. The sixth principle that the Kansas City Chiefs have utilized to enable them to return to the Super Bowl, I believe, is that they have made the most of the opportunity that has been presented to them. What opportunity was presented to them? They have a coach and front office and players, look at you, Pat Mahomes, and others, man, who are game changers. It's one of those like, here we are, we got an opportunity to do something special. Let's make the most of it. Reminds me of the guy that Jesus encountered in the tombs. And this man had been, boy, the demonic man, you talk about a wild life. Jesus set him free. Later, people would see him and say, is that the same guy that we used to see? You know, the one that guy? He was set free by Jesus Christ. And through Christ, made the most of that opportunity. 6 principles. Don't rest on your laurels. Make the necessary changes. Keep your eye on your opponent and their strategies and schemes. Keep the main thing. Stay committed and make the most of the opportunities given. Is there anything you've been praying for 50 years? 10 years? 5? Maybe even a year. Don't give up. 2020 may be the year that in God's timing it all comes together. That change may take place in your life or in the lives of someone you are praying for. I encourage you, in the words of G Money, to keep on keeping on. If you enjoyed this video, you think there's someone who would benefit from it, please share it with them. If you have comments, there's a section down below for you to post those in. Like the videos, we would appreciate it. It's 2020, it's a new year. New things are coming at Not So Crazy Talk. We hope you will be a part of them. God bless you. And thank you, Mike C, for the photos.